Kia ora everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Renee. I like to read books and then talk about them on the internet. Really strange. I recorded my August wrap up this morning, not realizing that I'd completely forgotten about July. And rather than have to talk about the books that I spoke about this morning and put them into one video, I'm deciding to record this one and do two separate videos because that's the way that I'm feeling today. So yeah, a bit backwards, but you won't be seeing them backwards. This one's going to come out first for sure. Kind of just speaks to like the state of my brain at the moment and the way that I am finding it hard to fathom that it is September and what basically feels like the end of the year is coming on round. A lot of things happened in July, so maybe well, not a lot, but just one major thing that I think I should probably talk a little bit about, because I don't think I have, even though I've been kind of alluding to it. Anyway, if you are new here at all, or if you don't know, I, for the last 5, nearly 6 years, have been working in the art world. Worked in an art gallery in Auckland as their marketing manager, as well as curation for the gallery and other little various things. Really loved my job. Often could not quite believe that I actually got to do that for a job. My background is in art. I went to art school. So that meant that it was a really hard decision to decide to leave my job. I was ready for some change. I needed a new challenge. Had kind of resigned myself to the fact that I didn't think I was going to get another job working in the art world. Was looking and applying for jobs in marketing, digital marketing, working for agencies, a little bit of fashion stuff as well. When the job that I have now, which, surprise, surprise, is in the art world, came up, and the company that it was with, I was like, man, that would be an actual dream. So yeah, I was really happy when I got this job to, one, be working for this amazing company that I've always kind of wanted to work for, but also to still be able to work in the art world and work in a field that I love. So my new role now is social media manager for a company named Ocular. They are an art media outlet, and they have a website, magazine, social media platforms where they write about and feature, promote international art, from contemporary international art from all over the world. So it's been a definite change of pace. Things are a lot kind of snappier and there's a lot more going on. It being the international art market rather than the local one. But it's been great. I've been loving it. I am 7 weeks into the job now. We're coming up to art fairs next week and it's going to be full on. There's a lot happening. It's super fun. I'm really loving it. And that's all I kind of have to say at the moment. That's kind of been keeping me busy in July, learning lots of new stuff, new routine, new work environment, working with new people. Yeah, it's been great. I've been really enjoying it overall. And reading has like been okay, not like amazing, but I feel like now that I've been in the job for a while, or not a while, but a few more weeks, that I am starting to get more of a routine and can kind of pick up with the reading a bit more and stop using a new job as an excuse, really. So yeah, that's feeling really good as well. It's time to talk about books now. I read 4 books in July. I'm looking at them here and I'm counting them, and it's like, yes, I definitely read 4. Overall, not the greatest reading month. Like, actually can probably see why I forgot about these books, because I'm not really all that excited to talk about them, so it's probably going to be pretty quick, but here goes nothing. First up, in July, I read The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt. Fun little New Directions storyboard books that I have been enjoying. I enjoy the look of them and the design, but the overall contents, not so much. This was the second one I read from this series, and I just thought it was okay. We have an unnamed, is she unnamed? Yeah, unnamed, precocious, young narrator who has grown up living quite an international lifestyle. She has an English father and a French mother, and she grew up in Marrakesh, and much of her life has kind of been built around these etiquette type rules to live by based on the kind of class she was a part of. From that, she has this kind of wise precociousness about her that makes her seem older than her 17 years. Honestly, the story in this one was kind of like not it for me. People talked about this being like a real twist, like, oh my gosh moment, but when it happened in this book, I didn't quite understand why I was supposed to be shocked or impressed by it. It felt, yeah, just not very impressive overall. There was some nice passages of writing, I think, but overall I'm kind of just like, yeah, not really all that impressed by it. It still makes me want to read Helen DeWitt's more of her writing though, so this has not deterred me in any way, but yeah, a bit disappointed. Okay, next I read Quartet by Rhys. I read this as a buddy read with Karen from Karen Reader. In the story we have a narrator named Maria. She is an English woman living in France. She meets this man and marries him, and he is then arrested for fraud. She is left on her own have no means to support herself, and really doesn't know what she's going to do when a couple she knows, they approach her and kind of say to her, like, we want to take you in, we want to take care of you, like, not to worry, this is a horrible situation you're in, like, we want to help. And she reluctantly follows and moves in with this couple and becomes involved with the husband. From there, the story kind of develops into, honestly, I feel like a bit of a nothing. What this book sells on the back is that she kind of gets involved in this what I felt was going to be like an actual threesome, and it wasn't. It definitely was the husband kind of messing about again, and the wife's just kind of used to this behaviour and becomes quite aggressive towards the main character. Yeah, the blurb describes this as much more of a kind of obsessive, psychological, in your head story, and I just felt like it wasn't really giving that at all. It was really hard to read between the lines with the writing and how plain it was. Not a lot is being given, but yet you're supposed to kind of draw everything that it insinuates on the back from this quite plain and old language. I say old, it was published in 1930, but was expecting to be so much more affected by this story, but I really just didn't care. These characters seemed like they created their own issues in a way that I wasn't sympathetic. You know, repeating all their old mistakes and not necessarily realizing their own faults and continuing to blame others. Disappointing book number 2 for the month. Next, I actually started a buddy read with Amelia, who is a watcher of this channel, and that was For Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. The reason why I say I started is because we actually DNF'd that, and yeah, we read about half of it and both of us were feeling very much the same about it. Didn't really care for the story or the characters. Nothing felt like it made any sense. Everything was kind of a strange choice to be made in that story. And funnily enough, it was both of our second attempts at reading that book. And yeah, the second time wasn't gonna fix it. It was just not for me and not for Amelia. So we decided to DNF it, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna pick up Milk Fed by Melissa Broder, if you haven't already read that. And if you want to, like, please feel free to jump on board. So we did read this together, and started off very promising. I was enjoying it from the very moment I picked it up. I loved the voice. Sorry, I think that's my phone. Yeah, was really enjoying the voice of this and how funny it was, but ultimately we ended up being quite disappointed in the end as well. What this book is about, we have a protagonist named Rachel who is suffering from disordered eating. She's in her early 20s, and this is something that she's kind of dealt with most of her life because of the insecurities about her body that her mother has instilled in her. Rachel has this very kind of obsessive relationship with food and the way that she thinks about it, consumes it, very rigid, very calculative, down to the specific type of frozen yogurt she gets versus the one that she prefers. And it is this very kind of thing that takes over her life and basically rules every decision that she makes. She meets this other Jewish woman. I have to say that she's Jewish because that's a big part of the storyline as well. She meets this other Jewish woman who works at a frozen yogurt shop named Miriam. Miriam is fat and seems to have this opposite relationship with food to Rachel, and Rachel quickly becomes quite obsessed with Miriam. We kind of see Miriam trying to seek validation through various female relationships that she has, but she has this overall desire to want to be mothered and comforted, and food is kind of like been a way for her to control. And when she meets Miriam, she kind of seeks out that that motherly kind of warmth. I don't particularly like the way that this book rushed through the story and tried to wrap it up in the way that it did. You know, Rachel being cured of her disordered eating after all these years by just eating a few meals and like kind of being forced to because she's in love with this woman. I've found that with Melissa Broder's other novel, The Pisces, it felt a little bit similar, where there is always this feeling of wanting to have some kind of resolution to these characters and their problems. Wanted to love this, but in the end it kind of did itself a disservice by trying to fit that topic into one book and have this character be cured by the end of it. So yeah, disappointing book number 3. Disappointing, definitely the word of the month I would use. But then we have Toni. Toni made it all better. Toni definitely saved the month for me. I read Love by Toni Morrison. This was my book club's pick for the month of July, and yeah, I loved it. I did a reading vlog on this, and you can go watch me read it and talk about it, and I think I did a pretty good job at talking about it in depth. I guess like a quick summary of this book is that it's set in a beachside town named Up Beach that in its heyday was a bustling kind of holiday metropolis place for black people, and it was all facilitated by this man named Bill Cozy and his hotel. He, at the present time that we're in, he has passed away, and he's left behind this kind of very bogus will that people are fighting over, trying to claim what they feel is rightfully theirs based on their relationship with this man. It is mostly women that are fighting amongst one another. The story is really about learning about this man through these various women, but really learning about them, their own stories, histories, the things that they've gone through as a consequence of what's happened to them through this man. It's done in a really brilliant way. Morrison doesn't give you the entire thing up front. You have to work to figure this out. And when you do figure it out, it's like a holy shit moment. It's like what you would want from this with the twist is what you get in this when you read it. And you're like, I don't know how these people are connected or why they're mad at them or who they even are really, but I'm loving the writing. I'm loving the sentences that Morrison is using, and the way that she chooses to describe things is just so luscious and like velvety, and it's just this delicious kind of feast that she's serving amongst this chaotic dynamic. Yeah, I very much enjoyed my time with this book. I just love Toni Morrison. Everyone should read her. Fantastic end to a, not so great reading month. That is everything that I read in July. We're getting back on track. We are getting back on track, guys. Everything's gonna be fine, I think. Fingers crossed. I will see you in the next wrap up, where I'm wearing the exact same outfit and sitting in the exact same place. But maybe it's a little bit lighter than it is now. Bye!